What's up, dudes? Max here, and a console technically has just released. The PlayStation VR is available now, and it was a lot easier to get than I expected. I just walked into a GameStop, asked if they had it, and they just had either the bundle or the single device available. But holy crap, at an investment of $500 for the bundle or $400 for the single device, is this thing worth it? And I'd like to give you my opinion if it is. Let's start from the very beginning. The PlayStation VR has quite a few games out there right now. Not a ton, and I only really invested on the ones that are supposed to be really good. I didn't play absolutely every single one, but I got a pretty good idea of how the VR feels. But let's start from the very beginning, hooking this thing up. I ran into a ton of issues with the PlayStation VR, not only with my television, but with capture devices. And this is a common, persistent issue that many people are complaining about right now, especially if you intend to capture your VR gameplay. I had to end up using an Elgato HD60S internal capture card, which was the only thing that I could get to pick up the signal. The PlayStation VR rotates between several different resolutions at many different times. You can get some very weird things to happen on capture devices, including freezing or just not picking up the signal at all. But in the long run, we were able to get the thing to work, which was very nice, but also getting the image to show up on my TV was another problem. So this thing isn't completely foolproof in terms of hooking it up. There isn't that much of an issue if you guys are just going straight into your television and don't intend on capturing, but I had to disconnect all of my splitters. I had to use different kinds of splitters and find out that those don't work, and I literally had to directly input the PlayStation VR only into my capture device, not split the signal at all, and then go only to the TV. Which was kind of frustrating because I had to almost disconnect everything in my entire capture setup to make this thing work. But besides that, we eventually got this thing to work, and the first game that I played was the Resident Evil 7 kitchen demo. You might have remembered I made some VR impressions a little while ago talking about my experience with RE7. I actually played the one with the controller, the demo that we all got online. And it was okay. I already knew everything that was going to happen, so most of the experience in terms of scares or atmosphere was kind of gone because we had played a whole bunch of the RE7 demo back around E3. It was a little nauseating because you're using the controller to move around, and I'm very curious how that game is going to be in its finality when you eventually do play with VR. But the kitchen demo was super impressive. It was creepy, it was scary. I was pretty excited, mostly because I feel that the 3D effect of the VR goggles was a lot better than I remember at E3. You really do feel the space in front of you when you're actually there. So it was kind of jarring, the fact that, wow, I feel like I am in this world. Things have depth. They're closer, they're further away, and that is something that I was not expecting. I was kind of going into VR expecting it to be like, oh, this is going to be kind of cool, I guess. I'm pretty much doing it just for the sake of reviewing it and making the purchase just for that reason, but I did want to play Resident Evil 7 on my first playthrough with the VR, so that was kind of my excuse for getting it. But I left that evening pretty impressed with a lot of the games we did play. And the kitchen demo was pretty scary. It's kind of a cool little movie that you're a part of, but in terms of feeling like you're in that room with all that crazy stuff happening, as you guys saw my reaction video, it feels like you're there, man. It does a very good job, and that shit is genuinely creepy. However, the part where I was really impressed with PlayStation VR was a game, like when you're actually playing a video game, and there was one game that felt extremely amplified by it being in a VR experience. Most other games, especially like Thumper and Rez, are cool. You get to look around at the world, and the world has depth and everything. And that's the one thing that you don't take away when you're watching a YouTube video of someone playing VR. You see a screen, and you see someone with visor goggles on, and you assume that that screen is what is inside the visor. That is not the case. Like, holy shit. You feel like you're in this world because things have proper depth. It is 3D as all hell. And yes, the graphics are not amazing. It is kind of low resolution on certain games, especially Resident Evil 7, or at least the kitchen demo. But other games look pretty damn good, including Batman, and I personally felt that Rush of Blood was the #1 game to take advantage of VR amongst all the games we played that evening. This was made by the Until Dawn developers, and it's essentially a rail shooter, or a light gun game where you have 2 space ice creams in your hands and you're blasting everything away. But the tracking and everything that goes along with it was working pretty good, and when you hold up these guns to your face, they feel like they're in front of you. That experience is what is a complete disconnect. You are definitely in this world, it has depth, and that is the coolest part that you miss when you're watching it on the other side of a YouTube screen. So it feels like you're there, and that was amazing with this one shooter game where you're on a little minecart going through all this crazy stuff, and it's very cerebral, and there's morphing stuff and clowns that explode into things, and it was bizarre. It's meant to mess with your head, and I freaking loved it. Mostly because I'm a big light gun shooter fan. I love light gun shooter games. House of the Dead, Virtua Cop, Time Crisis, these are some of my favorite games. Not all of them, some of them. And having that be there where you feel like you're in a light gun game and all this stuff is happening around you, I got literal joygasms. I couldn't believe what I was playing. I felt like I was in House of the Dead or Carnival, and it was the best thing I could have experienced that night. Now, I had a pretty good positive experience with the PlayStation VR. It's comfortable, it's not too cumbersome, some games look better than others, and overall I really liked it. I liked it a lot more than I thought I was going to, mostly because I thought we were just gonna buy the VR and totally riff on it the whole night if it sucked total ass. But it didn't, and by the end of it, was I glad I made the purchase? Kind of, mostly because there's some games that are coming out down the line that are really gonna take advantage of this and will be really awesome. For the majority of people and guys that aren't like me that have access to get something like this because I love light gun shooter games or something along those lines, would I recommend it? Probably not. It's very cool. It's something that I feel that everyone should try, and that's where it kind of stops. If you guys want to check out the PlayStation VR or you're on terms about getting this thing, I highly recommend you go over to a friend's house. Find somebody that has this thing hooked up. They went through all the process of getting all like the 12 cords that it comes with hooked up to make it go, and play it at a friend's house, because that is the best thing you can possibly do before you drop a ridiculous amount of money. Like, this thing costs as much as the PlayStation Pro. It is crazy. I don't think you're gonna use it too often. Like, the PlayStation VR is really cool, but it's one of those things that I cannot see myself coming home and then desperately wanting to stick this thing on my head all the time. So in the long run, I had a lot of fun with this system. I think it's super cool because it's genuinely different than a lot of the stuff that's come out for video games in a while, and I missed out on a lot of the VR things over the past few years. I just didn't really care. And having this be my first VR big time like home experience was really fun, especially with friends. It was really fun. Would I buy this thing simply for the Rush of Blood game? Probably not. I might wait for a friend to get it and he would want to bring it over, or split the cost with a couple friends. I'm still glad I got it because Resident Evil 7 is coming out. I hope it's better than what I played at E3 because it was slightly nauseating, controlling the character in one direction and then looking in others. That can be a little rough. But it's something that's really unique, and I give Sony a huge amount of props for this because they managed to make it somewhat easy to use, albeit hard to hook up and deal with all the hookups and management of it. It does fit comfortably on my head, which was cool, but good God, it's so much damn money. Play Resident Evil 7, play Batman, play Rush of Blood, play Thumper, play Rez. There's quite a few really damn cool games, and even others I didn't actually get a shot to try, but I really liked it. I really liked it. I would not recommend you buy it, at least right now, until there's some really good games that are supportive of it that might last longer than a few play sessions. But either way, dudes, thank you very much for watching. I'll be back with more impressions of this stuff as soon as there's more games that I'm looking forward to, like Resident Evil 7, but I guarantee you my first playthrough of RE7 is going to be with PlayStation VR, and I hope it doesn't make me sick. As always, guys, thank you a ton for watching. My name is Max, and I'll see you next time.
Oh, shit. Oh, shit.
I'm being fucking simulated.
Fuck me. Oh, fuck. This is way too real right now. Okay. All right.